Do you ever feel like you're doing everything right? Eating clean, working out, counting your macros, but the scale just won't budge. Often we wonder, is it our body that's broken, our hormones, our metabolism, maybe it's perimenopause? However, in this video, I'm going to explain to you exactly why your body is not broken and how a sneaky culprit that is often overlooked, such as stress, could be the reason why you're struggling with your fat loss or why you may be gaining weight, even though you feel like you're barely eating anything. Now, ladies, if you're new to this channel, my name is Chen Yang, and I've helped thousands of women all around the world tone up, lose fat, get in their best shape, whilst doing so in a sustainable and enjoyable manner. And I've worked with so many women who are incredibly busy, who work shifts, who work endless hours, and something that's been so common in all of their lives has been stress. So I've seen it firsthand how stress can really impact your body. And in this video, I'm gonna share with you guys ways that you can identify if it's stress that's holding you back from your fitness journey, and also really simple modifications that you can make in your life, in your day-to-day, to be able to relieve the stress so that you can also see progress in your fitness journey. Now, firstly, before we go into it, how does stress impact fat loss? Let's talk about cortisol. That is your stress hormone. Now, cortisol is actually really useful in short bursts. For example, if you were to be chased by a tiger, you need that cortisol. But in real life now, the tiger in our lives is the overflowing list of emails that we need to get back to, the lack of sleep, the overtraining, all the different ways that we are stressing our body and our nervous system out. Now, what cortisol does is it tells your body to actually store onto fat, especially around the belly. That's also why we have this term called cortisol belly. If you've ever found that when you go through a really stressful time of life, you start gaining weight and it's kind of not showing elsewhere but mainly your lower belly. Now, the reason why this happens is because when cortisol is elevated, your body is given a signal of, okay, you're in danger, you need to hold on to these fat stores in order to keep your body safe. Now, when cortisol is constantly elevated, it's going to do a few things to your body. Number one, it will slow down your metabolism. Number two, it's going to increase your cravings, especially your cravings for sugar. Number three, it's going to start messing with your sleep. Number four, it breaks down muscles, so you're going to lose that toned and defined look. Finally, it's going to cause insulin resistance over time, and it can also cause a lot of skin issues such as acne. Now, one thing before we go any further, I'm not saying from this video that if you are struggling with weight loss, it's definitely going to be stress related. I think it's very easy for us to also just point the blame at stress when we aren't actually managing our nutrition. However, what I'm saying is, if you have been managing your nutrition, you know you're eating in a calorie deficit, you're really on point with your training, and for some reason that body fat is just still so stubborn and it's still so hard to lose it, then that's when you want to start looking at stress. But you can't blame stress if everything else that's required for you to actually lose fat, which is essentially a calorie deficit, is not in place. Now, what I want to do is actually I want to share with you my personal journey through this and why I'm actually so passionate about talking about cortisol and stress. Basically, last year I went through a very stressful time in my life, running a business, competing to high rocks, just overtraining, mentally and physically exhausted, emotionally exhausted as well. I saw my body completely transform in a way that I really did not even recognize myself. I became super puffy, I was constantly bloated, I felt very watery, and girls, you can probably relate when you wake up in the morning and your face is just puffy and you're like, I don't know what's going on, but I just feel like an inflated balloon essentially. And I saw my weight kind of slowly creep up, and it was concerning because I knew I hadn't made any changes in terms of my nutrition or my workouts, but for some reason I just wasn't feeling right and I wasn't looking the same. Now, what also happened was my skin started breaking out really badly in cystic acne, and again, I had no idea where this was coming from. Now, in hindsight, the way that I was training was completely out of line with my body. I was doing so much high intensity. I was running and doing high intensity on the same day. I was not feeling my body enough. I was not getting enough sleep because I was working endless hours. So in hindsight, no wonder my stress was elevated, no wonder my cortisol was elevated, and no wonder my body was giving me those signs that things needed to be changed. Now, what happened was, after going through my summer travels and going to the USA, hosting an event in the USA for my clients, I came back here to Dubai and I realized I needed to get a full blood panel done just to find out what was going on. And what I realized from the blood panel was that my cortisol was so elevated and it had thrown off everything else in my hormones, hence why I was struggling with my weight, hence why I was so bloated, so inflamed, right? Hence why my skin was breaking out. And that's why I wanted to talk to you guys about this, because I know that so many women out there are struggling with their cortisol, struggling with their hormones, but they have no idea why, and they actually have no idea that they have this problem. Okay, so if you're sitting here wondering, well, how do I know that perhaps perhaps stress is the reason for the struggle with my fat loss. Here are some major signs. Number one, you're gaining or holding onto fat, especially around your midsection. Even with a solid nutrition plan in place, you're training properly, you're taking good care of yourself, but for some reason, you still find yourself holding onto fat, especially in the lower belly. Number two, you are constantly tired and fatigued. Even though you are getting enough sleep, it just still does not feel like you're getting enough. Number three, you're constantly craving sugar or carbohydrates. Number four, you're feeling wired but also tired. So in the evening, when you're in bed, you are tired, but mentally you are so wired and you just can't shut down those noises in your head. Now, number five, ladies, your period is irregular. Now, whenever your cycle is irregular, that is a major sign that something's going on, okay? And stress is often the biggest culprit to why you may be getting symptoms around your cycle, any strong PMS symptoms, or just irregular cycles in general. And finally, you feel like you're working hard at the gym, you're training, but you're just not recovering. The energy's still low, you're always sore, you're always fatigued, you're not progressing anymore at the gym. So if any of this sounds like you and you're wondering, heck, well, how do I do to fix this? Like, what should I do to reverse this? Here are some really simple things that you can implement into your day-to-day, things that I've done myself, which have tremendously helped my body, my energy, my hormones, and essentially lower my cortisol. Now, the first thing is prioritize your sleep. At least get in 7 to 8 hours, if not more. It is so important that you also look at the quality of your sleep. I know how easy it is to be like, I've been in bed for like 7, 8 hours now, I've gotten 8 hours of sleep, but actually get yourself an Oura ring, get yourself like a tracker, but just make sure you actually look at the quality of your sleep, because it doesn't matter how long you're in bed for, it doesn't matter how long you've been asleep for, but rather what matters is that quality of sleep that you're getting. The second thing is actually adding stress reducing activities into your day-to-day and being really intentional about this. I know we probably hear people talking about like journaling, meditation, breath work, and it gets thrown around a lot and we often just overlook it, but these simple practices actually do so much good for you. And I feel like often we get lazy with them, right? So even if it's like 5 minutes of meditation, 5 minutes of breath work, start implementing this to your day-to-day. Maybe it could be an evening routine, right? See it as self-care, see it as just as much as a non-negotiable as perhaps the gym, perhaps going out for a walk, brushing your teeth, right? Really ingrain it into your routine, and trust me, that time by yourself with your body away from the digitals, just focusing on your breath, focusing on how you feel and coming within yourself, really is going to help you tremendously. The next thing is really reassess your training. And what I mean by this, especially as a girl who absolutely adores her training, I love going out for a run. I love overdoing it essentially. I love high intensity, but what's really important is that you have to actually reassess your training and make sure that you're working with your body and not against it, regardless of how much you enjoy those workouts and stressing yourself out. It's so important you actually look at this from a longevity standpoint. So if you are constantly doing HIIT and you're running your body into the ground, right, and you're constantly fatigued, but you just love that chase with the endorphins, really think about how long you can keep that up for, because sooner than later, your body is going to hate you for it, okay, especially as females. So what's really important is start working with your cycle, understand where you are in your cycle, understand what sort of training is best for your cycle. Now, if you'd like more help with that, I've actually uploaded a video that goes through everything regarding cycle syncing, so I'll drop it in the comments below. But really listen to your body, okay, and understand when you need to slow down, and see slowing down as, again, just as important as speeding up and pushing your body. There is a time and place for everything. Now, the reason why I say this is because when you are overstressing your body, again, that physical stress is going to spike your cortisol and your body is going to become more inflamed. Now, when there's more inflammation, you're going to hold into water, you're going to gain weight, and you're going to get all those symptoms again of feeling puffy, right? Regardless of how hard you're training. It's not about how hard you're training, it's about how smart you're training. Next is nutrition. Make sure you are eating enough, okay? And I know you've probably heard this so much, but again, like, make sure that you are actually fueling your body accurately. Now, I know what it's like when you start training and you're like, you know what, if I eat less, I'm gonna lose some weight. Yes, that is the case, but there's a very smart way of being in a smart calorie deficit where you're still fueling your body where it needs to, so that it's repairing itself and it's recharging and it's recovering from your sessions, versus just under eating and just neglecting your nutrition. Make sure if you don't have a proper plan in place yet, that you get one in place. And what I mean by by that is perhaps tracking at least your protein intake, right? And your total calories, just to make sure that again, you are eating enough, okay? Because underfueling, especially for a long period of time, is again, number one, going to stress out your body. Number two, is going to impact your metabolism. It's going to slow down your metabolism, okay? And what's going to happen is again, you're going to reach a point where you feel like you can barely eat anything and you still won't be able to lose weight, okay? So again, it's about working with your body, fueling it, right? Allowing it to perform better so that it can look better rather than depriving of things. And finally, it's actually making sure that you stay consistent with these habit changes, because again, it's easy to pick up something for a week, right? Make these changes and then go back to your old habits. I know what it's like, right? It's hard building up a new habit, especially if it requires you to slow down when you are someone who's so used to just being on the go, go, go. I'm just like that. I love being on the go, go, go. Sitting down, being still can be really hard, but it's often those things that you find hard, which are the things that you need to work on. So if you are a girl out there who is always on the go and your calendar is just completely packed with meetings, with training, with everything, you don't even get time to breathe, please actually be intentional and put in some time in your diary just to slow down and breathe. Literally block out time to do absolutely nothing. Now, more specifically, what I did to actually reduce my cortisol was this. With my training, I was training like every single day, okay, for a good while. What I did was I reduced all my HIIT. I literally just removed it all, because at that point I was like, I've gone so far on the other side of the spectrum in terms of my stress and my training that to actually get back to baseline, I probably need to really pull it back. So I removed all my HIIT. I actually stopped running for a bit as well, just because I really wanted to focus on de-stressing my body. I focused on just 3 weight training sessions a week, and I also focused on yoga and Pilates and just having extra rest days. Now, if I was feeling fatigued on a certain day that I was meant to train, I would just push my training another day. This is not me being not disciplined, and if you're going to do this, it's not you being undisciplined, but rather it's actually you learning to listen to your body. There's a very big difference between skipping a workout because you can't be asked versus skipping a workout because you genuinely know that you are fatigued, your body has not recovered, and instead what you've done is you've just moved that workout to another day where you can actually show up and get a good session in. The next thing from a nutrition standpoint in more detail is, rather than just obviously making sure I was eating enough, I was making sure that I was having my breakfast within the first 30 minutes of waking up. Now, I know a lot of you girls will be the type of girls who are like, I don't get hungry in the morning, I don't eat breakfast. Please just listen to yourself. Your body needs fuel when it wakes up, okay? Imagine waking up and giving your body absolutely no fuel. It's like trying to drive a car with no fuel in the tank engine. It's not gonna go very far, it's gonna break down the car in the long term, okay? Now, it's so important that you get food in first thing in the morning, because number one, that's gonna reduce your cortisol and reduce stress in your body. When your body wakes up and there's absolutely no fuel, and then you go about your day, perhaps you go get a fasted workout in, and then you're facing the stress of work on your laptop, can you imagine how your body and your nervous system is feeling, right? So even if you are not a girly who gets hungry in the mornings, please be intentional and make some breakfast for yourself. Even if it's small, at least just get 30 grams of protein in. Start training your body to actually be ready for food first thing in the morning. More often than not, it's really just a habit change. If you've been used to not eating breakfast, all you need to do is just spend a week eating breakfast, and trust me, you're gonna get used to it, and your body and your appetite will also catch up. Now, the next thing is I really looked at my caffeine intake. Now, this is something I actually didn't mention, but if you are a girl who is shutting down 3 to 4 coffees a day, right? And you're needing that to survive, again, you need to reassess why you feel the need to have that much caffeine in your day to survive, okay? Because I remember when my cortisol was super high and I was just feeling all this fatigue, I was that girl having 3 to 4 coffees a day. And let me tell you, that wasn't even helping me. I was still falling asleep around 3 to 4 p.m. and I was wondering what the hell is going on, right? Now, when I turned all this around, I completely removed coffee. It was hard. I had the drawbacks, the withdrawals, but honestly now I don't have any coffee and I can function all day and I feel incredible. It just takes a week or 2 for you to get it out of your system and for your body to recalibrate. If you do enjoy a little bit of caffeine, what's really great for you is matcha. Now, I know there's this big matcha trend, but honestly, there's a reason for it. The energy you get from matcha is going to be way more sustained, so you're not going to get that crash, but also there are amazing antioxidants in matcha, which is going to be great for your health as well. And finally, one last thing that I did for myself was I turned all my notifications off on my phone. As a business owner, I was very used to having all these notifications on, having everyone ping me and have access to me 24/7. And honestly, when I first did this, it actually gave me anxiety. And I think I checked my phone more than I should have, because I was like, well, if I'm not getting notifications, I might as well check every single app every single minute, just in case someone's messaged me. But over time, I realized that no one needs access to you within the first few seconds, right? Nothing is ever that urgent. If it really is, if someone someone was dying, they would call you, right? Nothing is as urgent as you probably make it out to be. So if you are someone who gets pretty triggered by your notifications, you always feel wired and you're always stuck to your phone, you feel like you're constantly talking to 20 different people at the same time, and you don't even have time and space for yourself to think, turn those notifications off, girl, and just set intentional times in a day where you do a periodic check of the apps that you need to, and then just stay away from them. And I can't tell you how much more silence you are going to get, how much more peace you're going to get in your day. So those are pretty much the small tweaks I've added into my day-to-day. There are a few other things that if you guys would like to know more about, just drop a comment below and I can do another whole video on literally every single thing that I did in my life, every habit I shifted to help me create just more peace in my life, just get my hormones and my nervous system in a much better place. But ladies, look, we have so many stresses in our lives nowadays, and I think the more intentional that we are now in terms of stepping away from that and detaching ourselves, the better. Now, you may be thinking these are all really small tweaks, like is it really going to change things if I just simply turn notifications off, just 5 minutes of meditation, like is that really going to change anything? And let me tell you, having worked with thousands of women and also just going through this journey myself, okay, having worked with these busy women, I can tell you that these small habits, they stack up. Every small thing that you do has a compounding effect, okay? So every 5 minutes that you take off for yourself, that has a compounding effect into the future, especially if you are someone who works a very high stress job. Perhaps you work in the healthcare industry, which is where a lot of our clients work, and you're working night shifts or day shifts, rotating shifts, or you're a busy mom and you're also trying to juggle work and there's just a lot of stress in your life. When you're so far on that side of the stress spectrum, little small changes really is going to impact your body, and your body will feel it. So if this video hit home for you, if you felt like you resonated with any of these symptoms, any of these experiences that perhaps I've gone through, I really hope that you can actually make a change. I really hope that you take this video as a message, right? As like a piece of inspiration for you to really be intentional now with your life, because ladies, like life is too short to be running on burnout, right? To be destroying your health. There's nothing is worth that, right? It's so important to be taking good care of yourself. And look, you can do more. You can achieve more by also slowing down. I think this is like toxic belief that the more you do, the more stressed out you are, the more you're achieving, and that is just not the case. So yeah, if this video is helpful, make sure to give it a like. It really supports the channel. And if you aren't following me over on Instagram, that's cezia.fit. I post there like every single day, so go and follow me there. And otherwise, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.